All right, so I'm just going to get into it. We do still have some people coming in, but as always, we're going to post this up on the site, BN.Digital, so you can watch the video after the fact. And they're all up there at this point. We're going to be adding the downloadable presentations as well, so keep an eye out for that. Today, I'm going to run through the intro for what is social selling for the new people who I'm seeing have joined, which is great. Welcome. Basically, what is the basic social selling value prop? And then we're going to close out the final chapter, I guess, of this whole series that we've had of posting from your personal profile and your company profile. And I will also say this, I have a dump truck directly outside my office. It showed up 5 minutes ago. And if that noise just gets to be too much, somebody ping me, let me know, and we'll try to figure something out. But hopefully this is just a temporary distraction. So back into the lunch and learn, we'll be closing out that company post. I'm going to show you how to boost a company post, how I think that's valuable, particularly for business intermediaries. And we'll walk you through how to do that. And a little bit about why advertising on LinkedIn is different than some of these other platforms and what you're probably getting pitched on a regular basis by agencies. And then we'll hopefully have time. I've been trying to do this for the past few lunch and learns. We'll hopefully have time to jump into some social selling on BizNexus, because we keep rolling stuff out and putting a lot of time and effort into that platform. And we're really only covering LinkedIn so far in these lunch and learns. So who am I? Why should you care? Basically, I've just been in deal origination for the duration of my career. This is a space that is rapidly evolving year over year, especially now. But it all started with outbound, with calls and drop notes, and it's transitioned into this world of social selling that we're covering week over week here. We try to help with social selling, primarily with business intermediaries, but we focus on this entire world of business acquisition and sale. So at this point, we do have financial advisors and trust and estate companies and insurance related professionals and people who are tangentially around that business acquisition and sales space, right? Buyout groups, search funders, individual searchers, strategics. We're all doing the same thing. We're going after the primary prospect of business owners who might be in a position to sell their company, right? So how do we build up a valuable online network Rolodex of these primary prospects? And then how do we make them aware of who we are, what we do over time, nurture them down to the point where if they're actually going to approach you for a transaction as valuable as giving away 10% of something they've been building for the past 30 years, right? That doesn't happen just with a quick cold email and a reply, why, yes, I was thinking of selling my business. You really need to familiarize these prospects with who you are, get them comfortable, let them know how you solve their pain points before you get to the point where you're actually making an ask. And LinkedIn is a great platform for just that, for defining your value proposition and pushing value, not going for a close right off the bat, but nurturing these prospects down the funnel to the point where you're ready to make that kind of ask. We also focus on targeting referral prospects, right? These prospects that can deliver your primary prospects on an ongoing basis over time and ultimately wind up being more valuable than the processes, the outreach processes that you have in place, right? Especially if you're talking about paid advertising. Ideally, you get to a point where you're just not even doing that, right? So you want to build up your referral prospects of financial advisors, of accountants, of lawyers in your area, et cetera, et cetera. All of this, everything, again, it's to get that real world relationship, right? So in this post-COVID world, everyone's trying to figure out how to manage this top of the funnel process for deal origination, right? So instead of sending out your sales reps on site by territory, instead of going door to door, instead of having that initial seller meeting, the initial buyer meeting in person, and what is the best process for managing deal origination, managing the deal process, but then also building your brand, getting in front of these prospects without actually getting in front of them in today's environment. This is the process that covers just that for this niche. You know, we were doing this prior to the pandemic, and this really has only accelerated. And quite frankly, the stuff that's working, right? If people adapt and it's working, it doesn't make sense to go back, right? Regardless of what happens with the world returning to normal, if you're talking about effectively managing your initial outreach in a scalable fashion, and familiarizing prospects with your brand, you're doing that online. Well, you know, why reinsert a friction point for meeting that person in person, for traveling, right? If companies are now doing their diligence in the M&A process online and that's working, I don't see that ever going back. You can access all of our services at biznexus.com, BN.Digital. You know, both BizNexus is the platform and BN.Digital is the agency. Both of these companies address what we're talking about, and that's essentially deal origination in an online world. 5 stages of social selling. Really just think of it as optimizing your profile for conversion, right? Does your online brand speak to the pain points of your end prospect, of your end target, right? Really refining who your target is, who are the referral prospects who can get you that target on an ongoing basis, and just getting laser focused on that so that you can scale it, so you can build multiple campaigns around bringing these prospects into your ecosystem and then nurturing them, right? Letting them know that you are an authority in the world of business acquisition and sale on an ongoing basis through ongoing social posting and advertising, and familiarizing themselves with your offer so that you can bring them down the funnel to the point where if they're thinking about a business valuation, if they're thinking about what their exit plan might look like, you're going to be first in line. They're going to reach out to you. You're right there. You're front and center. And that comes into the capture, right? How can you pull these people off of LinkedIn to get that phone call, to get the Zoom, to get the in-person meeting? And there are multiple strategies for that. We are going to be kind of hanging out in that area today, just with the advertising on LinkedIn, and then some of the stuff that you can do on BizNexus. But we'll see where that conversation goes really in the next 10 minutes, right? So for those of you who have not been on the last 2 Lunch and Learns, I'd suggest you go back and watch those, because what I did was a company post that was, you know, kind of meh effective, but then I reshared my company post through my personal profile, and that wound up getting, last I checked, I think it was like over 4,000 very targeted eyeballs on it. And if you're building up a valuable network over time, that's exactly what you're looking for. You want to make sure that the eyeballs that you actually get on your posts are valuable. They're your end prospects, right? They're your referral prospects. They're the people who will deliver business over time. Now, the company post being what it is, it's just not going to get the type of reach and the type of eyeballs that my personal profile will get. But what you can do with a company post, right, so this only got 1,000 views, right, over time. And that's not bad because they're still targeted eyeballs, but it's, you know, it's nowhere near what you get, what I will get, and what I imagine you will get from your personal profile if you're pursuing an effective social selling strategy. Now, keep in mind, LinkedIn is different from other platforms because these posts stay out there. It's like an investment, right? They keep getting eyeballs. They're not disappearing in 24 hours like a Facebook post or an Instagram post or, you know, a Twitter post. LinkedIn, the content sticks around. So the more you're doing this, the more likely it is that you're going to get a set of eyeballs landing on your piece of content that helps define your value proposition, that helps set you up as the solution to their pain points. So remember that with posting. It sticks around there. So now, let's see. We're going to talk a little bit about the advertising. So this post through my company that only got 1,000 views, if I wanted to advertise, right? If I wanted to put some ad dollars and put a post out in front of my target prospect, the basic process would be you're going into your campaign manager. You're going to do that directly through advertising. I'm not going to do that here because we'll go through just a cesspool of campaigns that we have with BizNexus. But if you click on that, you're going to see something like this, right? And I could title this Lunch, learn, example post. So on LinkedIn, you start with the objective, right? You have awareness, think top of the funnel. Nobody knows who you are, right? So I want people to know that I'm actually out here selling businesses in Boston, Massachusetts, right? This is the type of message that's going to land on a set of cold eyeballs. This is very expensive. I don't recommend, if you're playing with a small budget, that you really do this on LinkedIn, because LinkedIn advertising, although it can be very, very targeted, it's very, very expensive. And that's because of the quality of the prospects that you get on this platform in relation to these other platforms that are out there. Consideration, now they're somewhat familiar with you, right? You want to start getting them off of LinkedIn for that cup of coffee, right? So maybe you want to get them to your website, or you want them to engage with an article, right? So if you have a niche like boat dealerships, right, and you're targeting other owners of larger boat dealerships with a piece of content about how to acquire a boat dealership, and that's where this stuff is really effective. Video views, which is what I'm going to do right now with this post. You want people to watch your video, right? And then there's conversion, right? And this is something that we'll be talking more about with these lunch and learns. Bob Ferris, you recommend that we touch this once a month. So I think that's a great recommendation. We'll do just that. If you want to just go in for a close with an ad and have a lead generation ad, or you try to send them to a page that's designed for conversion, to capture their email, to get them to schedule a free consultation, to register for your Zoom webinar, that's where this stuff is really effective, but again, expensive. So for me, I'm going to do video views, right? And with the audience, I'm not going to go through all the targeting right now because these lunch and learns are short and sweet, and LinkedIn targeting is just, that's a lunch and learn on its own. But with targeting on LinkedIn, the reason it's special is because, number one, you can target people by what they do, not just their demographics, which isn't necessarily relevant for B2B. So as a business broker, you can target job title, right? Business owner in the in the auto industry, right? And you can put in keywords and get laser focused on who your prospect is in a very specific location. And that's where LinkedIn is very special. In my mind, LinkedIn is very special right now because of the targeting capabilities, and then the organic reach. The fact that you can get so many of those valuable eyeballs on a piece of content that stays out there for free, if you know how to do it, if you're doing it right. That's going to go away. It's there today, but that's what makes it so valuable today. So for the audience, I've saved an audience here: business brokers, US and Canada, right? And if you're doing it yourself, or if you're working with an agency like ours, if you are going to put ad dollars in, this is what you can hire them for. You can get them to set up your targeting, and then you can ultimately run this yourself if you're on a tight budget. But again, LinkedIn advertising versus what you can get organically if you're staying engaged with the platform, that's a debate to be had. So target audience, job title, location, and a little more about audiences here. I can already tell we're going to have to push BizNexus back to next week, but that's fine. The audiences that you can choose for LinkedIn advertising, you can upload a list, right? And this is where it gets really interesting. If you have a very targeted list and you want to, let's say you have a list of people who are already familiar with who you are and what you do, you can upload that list and make sure your objective is something in the conversion area, right? Like with a lead gen form, and you'll see good results with something like that. If you have a lookalike audience, if you know who your audience is, right? So if they've owned an auto dealership for 30 years and you want an audience that looks just like that, you can do that. There are a lot of targeting options. It gets complicated, but again, this is where LinkedIn is very special. I'm going to put video ad placement. You can limit your advertising to LinkedIn, or you can engage with their partner network. I always recommend just engaging with the partner network. If LinkedIn has a partnership with Bloomberg and they can stalk your prospect off of LinkedIn onto Bloomberg, and your ad can show to that exact prospect while they're reading Bloomberg as well as LinkedIn, go for it. It works well. You know, it's creepy, but that's where this world is increasingly moving. Daily budget, you can set your budget. So let's say you don't want to spend the big bucks and you want to do 25 bucks a day and set a start and end date and run a test, right? So if I wanted to test this for a month, you know, automated bid, just go with that, right? You don't want to put in a manual bid. You want to let LinkedIn figure out how to best manage the bidding process for the audience who you're trying to hit, right? So my target audience here is 4,700. Run this for 30 days. My total spend would be less than 1,000. For the video, they'd anticipate that I get 12,000 to 22,000 impressions, right? With VTR of up to 86% and total video views of 9,000 to 17,000, right? And that's what we want, is this video views. That's the goal here, right? So that's what I would do. And then I'd want to browse existing content and find the company post, the video, right? So just check that box and I'd sponsor it. And so now, if I wanted to run this, that is all it takes, right? So for $1,000, if I want to run this for the next month, I'm not going to, because you know, since we started this series to now, we've actually rolled out more features on BizNexus. So I have a better video that I'm going to be releasing this coming week, and rather sponsor that one. But if I wanted to do that, I'd hit launch campaign and I just watch the magic happen, right? Watch the analytics. I can kill it at any time. But you know, if you have the budget and you want to do this, go for it. We can keep talking about this. Let me know in the feedback if this is something that you want to dig more deeply into. But again, LinkedIn advertising, albeit effective, is known to be very pricey, right? So that's boosting a company post, and you know, that can be very effective if you're a business broker focused on business owners. If you know, you have a set prospect target that you can define by region or job title or keyword, and just show a very clear message to them on an ongoing basis. You know, whether it's at the top of the funnel consideration, in the middle of the funnel, or down at the bottom where you're really trying to just capture them and pull them off the platform with something direct, right? So it's 120 right now. I'm not going to dig into BizNexus. I'm just going to leave it at that, because I think that was a quick and dirty overview of you know, a clear tactic sponsoring a company post through advertising on LinkedIn. We'll do this next week. I'm just going to dive in because we have some really cool stuff that we put out there. And a lot of people are missing how to use BizNexus tools, especially with LinkedIn, right? With the target groups that we have, how to not only share your post to your personal profile, but to your public profile. And actually, I will close out, because we did have that specific question this week, how to share to your company profile through BizNexus. So when you log into BizNexus, you're going to see all the content that we update regularly, divided into these buckets: buying a business, selling a business, business valuation, build for an exit, etc. You'll see all of the social groups that you can be playing in, commenting, identifying prospects, posting, getting your brand out there in the groups where your target prospects should be hanging out. When you post, let's use LinkedIn, right? If I want to share an article, I can send this as a private message. So if I know there's a high value target in my network who I want to share something with, and I've got the time, I want to do that, you know, one off here or there, that can be a great strategy, but not scalable. And then if you want to share it in a post, you look up here, right? So I've got Adam Ray, and I want to share it as BizNexus. So I'm going to change that. Now I can see my company, and that's going to be my company page, right? And you can add your hashtags, everything, at people directly in here through our tool. And then you click post. Same thing for Facebook, right? So here's my personal profile. I'm not going to share something about middle market sponsors, cast wider lending net, and hunt for financing through my personal Facebook profile. It doesn't make any sense. So click this and I can share it in a group. So if I wanted to share this in, you know, the IBBA group, for example, I could do that. Or if I want to share it on a page that I manage, here we go, BizNexus, sharing as BizNexus. So that's it. You can choose again. It's just right at the top here. You'll have the drop down, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Facebook, and you can manage it through there. So I'm going to call it there. If we have any questions, feel free to fire away. Otherwise, I'll keep going. Let's see. We've got one. Is it possible to view old campaigns to see actual data? Yep. So you can go through, and whenever you run any ads on LinkedIn, you can go through and see all the metrics, all the data. You know, keep an eye on that. So if you're doing what I just demoed, where you'd have a month-long test period, that's actually a big chunk of time, especially if you're on a small budget. You want to watch it, right? So you want to watch the data. If the campaign is not going as well as it should, kill it, right? That's the biggest thing in digital marketing, is to monitor and kill it, right? And tweak it and update it. Where can we find the old webinars? So you want to go to BN.Digital, right? So this is the agency. There are multiple entry points through BizNexus. So if you're logged into BizNexus, you can just go to lead generation, you know, find sellers. That's going to take you right to our agency. Go to resources, and we're constantly adding resources here, but go to training, and you're going to see all of our lunch and learns, right? So they're all here. We're going to be adding the downloadable decks and more. So we're adding a lot to the platform, to the BizNexus platform. We're adding a lot to the agency, week over week, month over month. It's just getting better. So hopefully you guys are getting some of that value. And if not, let us know. We've got the survey that'll come right after this lunch and learn. So if there's anything that you want us to see, if there's anything you want me to stay away from, if there's anything that you really want to learn more about for this process, you know, let us know so that we can keep these things valuable. I think it's a good sign that, you know, January 22nd, which is traditionally, I think, the slowest week of the year for M&A, and especially considering since the sellers have kind of come back to life over the past couple months and intermediaries have been very active. I think it is really, it's great that we have the crowd that we have today. We've got a good turnout. So hopefully that means you're getting value out of this. Let me know. And if there's anything that we can do, we will adjust it. But that's it. I think we've got all of our questions in. I'll leave it there, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks.